ending the day using your work sets in your work set related projects is important. When you finish working on the project for the day, you need to save to the central file and make sure that you relinquish all user-created editable work sets. Then you need to save your local file before exiting Revit itself. This way you're making sure that both the local and the central files are synchronized and that you're able to save to the central file next time you work on a local file. The last thing you want in the morning is when you come in and you can't save to the central file because you haven't given back permissions to another user for one of their work sets, for example. So when you close a project but you haven't relinquished all the work sets when you save to the central file, you'll get a particular type of alert on the Revit screen. Now at the moment I'm user 2, you can see in that particular Revit local file. I'm going to go to my other Revit session, and in this particular case I'm user 1. So what I'm going to do here is click here in the drawing area, and when I click on close, it's asking me, do I want to relinquish all elements and work sets, or do I want to keep ownership of all elements and work sets? What you do at the end of the day is you relinquish those elements and work sets. Even though they're signed out to you at the moment, you relinquish them so that in the morning, someone else might be able to obviously gain ownership of that work set and obviously work on it while you're working on something else. So I'll relinquish the elements and work sets there. So that's all done. That's saving back to the central file. And as you can see, Revit is ready to be closed for the day. Let's go back to the other Revit session now, where we've got a similar file open and we're user 2. Now what I'm going to do this time is instead of doing just close and then relinquish, I can relinquish all of my ownership of work sets and borrowed elements by clicking on this icon here in the Collaborate tab in the Synchronize panel. So I relinquish all of my ownership of work sets and borrowed elements like the columns I asked for permission to edit earlier in previous videos. So that's all relinquished and done. So everything has been released in the central model. So when I go to close this one, it just prompts me to save my local file locally. It doesn't synchronize because I've already done it. By relinquishing all of mine there, I've already done it. So I save locally, and again, that file is closed and Revit is ready to be shut down for the day. Now be aware as well, you can back up these files and it does it automatically. If I go to Windows Explorer here, you can see, look, there's a Revit Central 2 backup. And if I just double click that, you can see all the files in there. There's all the backup files in there. So it does do a backup of all of these saves that you make in your backup folder, and it creates that backup folder automatically. So you'll see there's my central model there, Central 2, and there's the Central 2 backup there. So it always backs up. Basically, you can go and check about editability of work sets, borrowed elements in the backup, and if you do need to obviously restore the backup, there is a Restore Backup icon in the Synchronize panel on the Collaborate tab in Revit Structure.